Hello my lovely viewers of the World Wide Web, and welcome to 2018. I hope you guys have had a good, happy new year, and I hope you guys have had a good Christmas break as well. We're getting closer to the 2020s as of this time, and my channel is almost 5 years old as of the recording of this time. Don't know how that affects my relevance to this website, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Today, we're going to be looking at a reboot series of our favourite blue hedgehog that starts at issue 252.
But you haven't finished with the original.
Well, fucking I'm tired of looking at the Sonic archives, and I decided that I want to dedicate at least one video per month to looking at a slew of story arcs, just so I can get this over and done with.
So how about we run that intro for the reboot series?
Okay, before we dive into the series itself, I think it's fair that we talk about one of the main series writers, Ian Flynn. This guy jumped on board the Sonic Archie series in March of 2006 in issue 160 up until issue 291 of 2017. During his time with the series, he managed to fix several continuity issues, bring back characters who had little to no relevance in previous stories for a quick comeback, or some sort of resolution with unresolved conflicts, and he primarily just had a greater field of knowledge and experience with the original video games, so he knew how to structure the tone of the characters' personalities and dialogue quite well. He's also one of the few writers who has a lot of communication with Sonic fans as well as dedicated passion to create a good story. In early 2013, Capcom approached Sega with a proposal to unite the Sonic and Mega Man universe in a comic book crossover since Capcom had no real plans for this mascot series, and because they had previously cancelled their upcoming Mega Man universe in Legends 3. This idea was then proposed to Ian Flynn, who at the time was facing major issues with current continuity after supposed Antichrist writer Ken Penders won a lawsuit for the ownership of characters that populate a majority of the universe, to be removed from the Sonic timeline. I'm spoiling a lot by mentioning that there is a lot of characters that pretty much receive what I like to call the Infinite Earths effect. Characters getting written out of existence with only mentions by name, comic book covers being altered at the last minute to meet deadlines Viva La Season 20 South Park style, and what resulted from all this was a huge fucking continuity mess that left our poor writer with a returning heap of unresolved conflicts and stories that I don't think could have ever been recovered. Luckily, Ian Flynn is the kind of guy who is able to make a complete turnaround if he believes in the heart of the cards, if you catch my drift. A glance at his Sonic Genesis book that sat on his shelf, according to what I read in interviews, gave him the idea for a concept that would rewrite realities and alter the events of the past to retcon the hole that had been dug for him. The Genesis Wave, a power that rewrites the fabric of reality to affect the outcomes of old and new characters by establishing some new backstories, powers, or just allowing them to come on board on the roller coaster of this new continuity, or doing an Elijah Wood and boarding the ship to the Undying Lands outside of Middle-earth. And hey, if these characters, like Elijah Wood's character in Lord of the Rings, found themselves irredeemable, I'd probably hightail the fuck out of there as well. The Genesis Wave is something that was technically explored in the 225 milestone when Dr. Eggman used it to rewrite reality himself, thus where Sonic Genesis comes in. This time it involves Super Sonic attempting to fix his world after the battle with Dr. Eggman and Wily in the Mega Man crossover. I will get there soon enough, with Dr. Eggman intervening right where our story begins. And as we go along this review of this new continuity, bits and pieces of the old continuity are going to start popping up. So if you know nothing about the old continuity, you're just jumping right into this new series, you don't need to fret, you don't need to know everything about the old continuity just to get everything you want out of this new world, new characters, new experiences, and this whole new adventure. So with all of that said, let's begin with Sonic the Hedgehog, Countdown to Chaos. The cover of this issue is bloody fantastic. The art style perfectly captures the modern Sonic style while still retaining a colour scheme and line work reminiscent of an American comic book. I also like how the holographic Mega Man-esque teleportation effect gives it the impression that this is the beginning cutscene of a level before you blast off into super speed. It's a neat touch. Our story begins with our hero Sonic experiencing a collage of flashbacks, 2 of which that occurred during 2 of his milestone issues, and the other 2 resembling a cutscene from both Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Colors. I'm to assume that this Sonic isn't the same as the one from the original, since he appears to be running towards danger that appears over the next page, and the memory flashes he's experiencing is an overlap of his Mobius consciousness being absorbed by his current one. As Sonic is trying to make his recovery from this sudden mind-raping of his skull, he spots his best friend, Miles Tails Prower, fending off what appears to be a mechanical bio-lizard. Tails does a quick checkup on him, and after realizing he's about as chipper as he'll ever be, Sonic tries to get some clarification on why he's in the city of Acorn and not on the Death Egg trying to rescue Sally.
Previous continuity clarification.
In issue 247, Sonic, Tails, and Amy, who formed a team known as Team Fighters, set on a mission to save Mecha Sally, who was transformed into the being after preventing the Death Egg Mark II from roboticizing the world. Silver appeared from the future to save Princess Sally, but before they could convert her back to normal, Eggman Genesis waved everything again, leading up to the events of Worlds Collide. Therefore, Sonic is told by Tails that they came here originally, intercepting an SOS transmission from Nicole before the behemoth robots started attacking the castle. Meanwhile, in said castle, Norgus the Troll Wizard King, as it were, becomes infuriated at his failures to maintain a basic defense and orders the HoloLinks, Nicole, to finish making a super ring for him to restore his magic. Agitated at the lack of results, however, he seizes her hand computer before being mind-raped by the original continuity. Because I guess Prime Mobius 1 was just that stupidly convoluted to him, giving Sonic and Tails an ample advantage on taking on the Mecha Tails doll. Tails gets knocked out briefly before coming across the exposed and battle-damaged handheld Nicole, who speaks in the traditional language of numero text-based speech, which I honestly find rather clever. He gets hit by a debilitating wave of flashbacks, revealing spoilers of events, with Sonic helping him maintain focus to the issue at hand. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, Dr. Eggman, Orbot, and Cubot all crash land onto the Africa Plains, a place where I assume the African continent from Sonic Unleashed is based. Missouri? I think it's Missouri. As they try to make their way towards some friendly bases that might be in the area. Back in the Kingdom of Acorn, Sonic and Tails manage to plug Nicole's hand computer into the Mecha Tails doll, destroying the control gem, and send the miniaturized Phantom Puppet blasting off again. As our 2 heroes make their way inside Castle Acorn, the duo and Nicole begin comparing memories based on the separate histories they now share. Certain events that happened in the original continuity are mirrored in the current one, but are now based around a more light-hearted and simple design of aesthetics. Tails theorizes that because Sonic was at the center of the Genesis wave when this Reshaping Worlds event happened, the spark that Tails felt when trying to grab Nicole basically only affected him, and will affect members who are close to Sonic.
In summarization, the Genesis wave just likes to mind-rape people's minds. As long as the events of 06 aren't included, then it's seen as mostly harmless.
Back on track with saving the king, they manage to free him from his cell, and let's just say that this guy's a lot more charming, charismatic, and overall more healthy looking than he did back in the old world. Even Sonic seems to think that this new change of world order is something that he might slowly start to accept. Oh, and by the way, the king's name is now Nigel. Yeah. Remember in my Endgame review how I gave King Acorn the Tim Curry voice? Wanna know why I did that?
That was smashing. No matter how long it takes, Julian, I will stop you.
Courageous words, sire. But where you're going, that won't be possible.
Yeah, suddenly it makes sense now in the broader context of things, doesn't it? So, King Nigel points them in the general direction and where the freedom fighters are, and before seeing them off, he requests that if his daughter be found, that they should let him know straight away.
I know she's capable of taking care of herself, but still, in these dangerous times, it would ease my mind to know my Sally is safe. Now then.
Have a lovely day.
Beginning our second issue, Countdown to Chaos Part 1, The Builder. Sonic and Tails begin their search of Rhoda while exploring the Mystic Ruins. Funny, I didn't know you could rail grind in the first Sonic adventure. As they check up on Nicole trying to shuffle through Tails' memory of a secret project that he and Rhoda were working on, they then come across a familiar fisherman. Back in the Africa Plains, our poor, flabby, frustrated doctor exchanges several hilarious outbursts with his robot lackeys until they are intercepted by what appears to be an Eggman squad of mercenaries. Meet Axel the Water Buffalo of the Egg Army. He doesn't like his boss. Can I just say for the record, Tracy Yardley, you have made the already hilarious Eggman even more hilarious with all of these facial expressions and body language. It's a very odd, yet very true to form representation of a mad evil doctor. With his new All-Stars transformed racing car, Eggman races back to the nearest egg base, with Orbot making an observation of not being familiar with the water buffalo. I may have been hasty in disrupting Sonic's chaos control. I'll need to perform further research, but it appears the world's reality was altered to some degree.
The same reality-altering shit that rendered all of 06 completely obsolete.
How do you remember those events?
How do you know? You weren't even conceptualized, plebeian!
Sonic and Tails come across everyone's favorite fisherman as he helps lead them in the direction of the Sky Patrol, a flying fortress built as a kind of flying home base for the freedom fighters, with the name being a direct homage to Tails' first flying adventure. They notice Rhoda fighting off a battalion of Eggman robots and decide to go hero mode, destroying all the robot badniks before being intercepted by Silver Sonic. Big manages to hold off Silver Sonic, hurling him up in the air, allowing Rhoda to lay a devastating blow. Now that is the kind of shit I like to see in a Sonic co-op game. As the three amigos have a catch-up and explore the inside of the Sky Patrol, Rhoda begins to openly question their strange behaviour, and they decide to let him in on what's going on. As they hand over Nicole to Rhoda, what a shock, mind rape.
You seem to like The Legend of Zelda, don't you?
Why, yes. Yes, I do.
After recuperating after that, Rhoda manages to pull out a list of mission files containing the whereabouts of Antoine, Bunny, and Sally, with Amy missing in a Sonic Universe story arc that I should probably get to for the sake of consistency. Back in Eggman Baseland, our favourite doctor manages to put together a suitable flying machine to help him get to the next nearest egg base, while commenting on the fact that his hasty actions in stopping Sonic from fixing reality had bigger ramifications than he thought. Countdown to Chaos Part 2, The Soldier. Dr. Eggman is seen trying to outrun a battalion of gunplanes before crash landing into a nearby egg base run by Egg Boss Lord Mordred Hood. I really like the designs of these Egg Boss. They really look like they could be put into a Sonic game. When we see the later ones in the series, I think you'll be able to see why I think that. But while Eggman is figuring out a way to escape his current predicament, Sonic and Tails explore the wood zone looking for Sonic's Uncle Chuck. As we take a break from the story here to analyse the artwork, it's very in tune with the modern Sonic style mixed with an American comic book look. Everyone may have the anatomy basic structure of a pot belly and a bunch of bamboo sticks with giant hands, but the designs are appealing, expressive, and they don't distract by having too many details. Even the redesigns for characters like Antoine, Mutsky, Bunny, and Sally have simpler designs. Antoine has less clothes, but he has a noticeable uniform, or costume I should say, that doesn't distract too much. It doesn't have too many layers.
Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers.
Mutsky is now a full-fledged Mobian, no longer making the consistencies between animals and Mobians any more confusing like it originally did with characters like Sleuth Dog or Draco. So anyway, Sonic and Tails embrace Antoine with friendly comfort, as once again everyone is dumbfounded by their strange behaviour. Antoine is given the French equivalent of the 2001 A Space Odyssey alternative memory slideshow. And as he tries to recover from all of that, we jump back to the wacky, wascally Mike Pollock, making a suicidal assault on the gun aircraft carrier, utterly playing out a gameplay segment of Just Cause 2. Back in the 100-acre wood zone, Nicole appears to recover a bit of her data with each new memory recovery, but the ground above them decides he wants to eat the motherfuckers who built a village out of him in the previous continuity, with Antoine pulling off some pretty awesome Black Knight skills, with Sonic obtaining the device that his uncle was using to collect some strange samples of dark gas. Unfortunately, one of the rocks hits one of the samples, exposing Sonic to the gas, making him act quite feral for a few seconds before magically recovering. Uncle Chuck suggests that he go visit a doctor to determine if any problem arises from his exposure to the gas, but Sonic isn't keen on the idea, insisting that he's clean as a whistle. Antoine requests that Sonic and Tails pass on his memoirs to his wife, as said wife is revealed to be within the ranks of the Eggman Empire. Countdown to Chaos Part 3, The Rabot. Continuing on from our past adventures, and after making a quick transition to a noticeably different art style, Sonic and Tails make a surprise attack on the Metropolis Zone from Sonic 2, blasting their way into the command center to find a bunny dressed as a red spy in the base.
A red spy is in the base?
A red spy is in the base.
Bunny explains that the reason she hadn't checked in for so long was because of growing suspicions around her, and she hadn't managed to find what she was looking for. So yeah. What was she looking for? A shield generator for the Sky Patrol, and of course Eggman happens to be the only one using a shield generator for R&D. Speaking of Eggman, he arrives in the Antarctica Zone, a very well-known continent quite famously known for their cool drinks, summer vacation spots and new beaches. As Eggman once again explains to his robotic lackeys that as they became more familiar with this new reality, their memories begin to rewrite themselves. As he is already quite familiar with how his memories of certain events have occurred in his mind, he brings up the unnatural readings he noticed as he left Africa, commenting on the fact that whatever is happening could be quite catastrophic. Back in Metropolis, Sonic and Bunny blast their way out of the command center and in the direction of the research vault, all whilst glorious visual noise fills the pages and witty dialogue fills the air. They manage to make their way to a giant gear, as Tail manages to open the door before another set of tremors cause the Eggman army to scatter and flee. The trio managed to make a quick getaway with the shield generator in hand, with Sonic commenting on the familiar earthquakes occurring back in the Wood Zone and in Metropolis. They make their way back to the Sky Patrol with the ever so charming French Rob Paulson preparing himself for his wife's mental breakdown.
I am the thing that keeps you up at night. The evil that haunts every dark corner of your mind.
With only 2 teammates left to find to fully restore Nicole's systems, Sonic promises to find both Sally and Amy and bring them home safely. Eggman, on the other hand, manages to track Sally's location in an escaping pod and sends Metal Sonic after her, making a promise to himself that Sonic will never see his supposed / possible girlfriend / possible bestie / possible closey. Possibly. Before we go on, the accompanying issues, as you can no doubt tell, is all part of a connecting thumbnail. By putting together all the main covers of the comics, you get a very impressively simply drawn, yet beautiful cover art of Sonic and the Freedom Fighters teaming up to defeat Eggman as the world around them crumbles and erupts. And I don't mean to spoil things by saying this, but let's just say this is all leading up to one of the longest, yet biggest world-building tie-in video game stories ever. Beginning our finale chapter with The Princess and the Hammer. We see a returning group of characters comprising of Amy Rose, Cream the Rabbit, Bean the Dynamite, and Bark the Polar Bear, all returning from a 4-issue spin-off series that you can buy for $2.99 on Comixology. Shameless plug. But before they get a chance to recuperate and recover from their adventure, Sally crashes in on the scene before we see her new getup and her new weaponry, which technically appeared in the last issue of the original continuity of her robotic form, as Amy, Sally, and Cream fight off against Metal Sonic, with Bean and Bark making a quick getaway before you can say, "I haven't seen you guys in 22 years!" They manage to hold him off long enough just in time for Sonic to come spin dashing into battle, and races Metal Sonic outside of the Kingdom of Acorn for Tails to launch a missile at him and finish him off. Wish that fight could have been used in Sonic Forces, that would have been a lot more better. And at last, our fabled and favoured heroes all reunite on board the Sky Patrol. Sally in particular is surprised at Sonic's sudden emotional affection. Eat up that Sonali moment when you can, folks. It is never going to advance as far as that in this continuity. And we reach that pinnacle moment in the story where the Genesis Wave will only allow one more person to recover their memories from the previous world. With Sally and Amy agreeing to both share this burden, Nicole restores their memories. Sally gets pretty much emotionally fucked up from everything that happened to her post-Sonic Genesis, with Nicole bursting out of her hand computer with a devastating realization that the multiverse has collapsed in upon itself, causing the world to be entirely rewritten, along with their physical appearances and characteristics. Both Eggman and Nicole on simultaneous parts of the planet explain that because of his attempts to rewrite reality as a whole, and not just the planet, the excess energy has now affected the entire planet, causing said planet to tear itself apart, and unleash a dark, ominous presence. Have you guys figured out which game we're tackling in this story?
Was the countdown to Chaos story arc for the beginning of a new continuity, and as it stands, it is a bloody brilliant introduction.
Sure, you can make the argument that the story does depend on your knowledge of the games, and some of the comics to really understand who some of these characters are, and all the neat little references to previous voice actors and zones may be lost on some young folks, But the art styles are colourful, simple, filled to the brim with exciting fighting poses and actions and expressions. Their characters are all likeable and charming, and it not only eases old fans into the new world, but also introduces some new concepts and redesigns that I think any fan of the Sat AM and original crowd and even some of the younger audiences can enjoy.
Now we're not quite done here, my lovely viewers, because we still have got a spin-off adventure to look at involving our favourite pink hedgehog and her bunny friend Amy Rose and Cream the Rabbit as they embark on a great adventure with our favourite cat princess, who is also my favourite female Sonic character in the universe, and I cannot wait to get started into that. But before I continue on and leave you guys for next time, I'm also going to talk about the Sonic archives next time, and this time we're not going to be doing them in 5s this time, we're going to do them in 10s, just so I can get those done as soon as possible. And I know I take fucking forever to finish them, but please be patient, and the nightmares will soon end. And also, so I can just announce a couple of things regarding video game reviews. I'm going to be taking a break from some marathons for a while. I'm actually going to be taking a look at some indie titles that have caught my eye. And thanks to a friend of mine, I am now starting the indie title extravaganza. So when we come back next time, I will see all of you guys for my review on Cuphead, One Shot, A Hat in Time, and many more to come. Until then, take care of yourselves, have a good evening, and as always, stay awesome, lovely viewers. I'll see you all next time.
But Sonic isn't keen on the idea. Oh, fuck off, you stupid birds. Antoine requests that Sonic and Tails pass on his memoirs. I gotta wait for this motherfucking truck to leave. It's a Wednesday, so I probably should have waited until the trucks did their job first. Actually, just gonna check. Oh, it's not a garbage truck, it's just my neighbor. Whoops.